Every fall, gardeners unknowingly throw away one of the most powerful soil-building resources nature provides. Those dry leaves piling up under trees aren't waste, they're a nutrient vault, and when you learn how to ferment them the right way, they stop being slow, stubborn organic matter and become a fast-acting soil activator that can completely change how your garden grows. If you've ever wondered why some gardens seem to explode with life while others struggle year after year, this is one of the hidden reasons. On Farm Basic, we focus on simple, proven methods that deliver real results without draining your wallet. Fermenting fall leaves is one of those rare techniques that checks every box. It's free, fast, scalable, and incredibly effective for building living soil that feeds plants naturally. Why fermenting leaves changes everything. Fall leaves already contain nitrogen, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and a wide spectrum of trace minerals pulled from deep within trees during the growing season. The problem isn't what's in the leaves, the problem is time. Left on their own, dry leaves can take months or even years to fully break down. During that slow decay, they can temporarily lock up nitrogen, which can actually slow plant growth. Now, when you ferment those leaves, you're speeding up nature's process, unlocking all those nutrients in a fraction of the time. This method transforms a garden's potential, turning what many see as waste into a powerhouse of growth. By fermenting, you're not just recycling, you're revolutionizing your garden's ecosystem. Fermentation flips that process on its head. Instead of waiting on oxygen-loving organisms to slowly chew through tough fibers, fermentation uses beneficial anaerobic microbes to pre-digest the leaves. Those microbes break down cellulose and lignin rapidly, converting locked nutrients into form soil life and plant roots can use almost immediately. What normally takes nature a year or more happens in just a few days. The result is darker, looser soil with better water retention, improved airflow and a massive boost in microbial activity. Roots push deeper and wider, plants feed more efficiently, growth becomes steadier and more resilient, especially during stress from heat, drought, or transplant shock. Choosing the right leaves for fermentation is important. Not all leaves behave the same, but most common garden and orchard trees work beautifully. Dry leaves that crumble easily are ideal because they ferment faster and more evenly. Leaves from maple, oak, apple, mulberry, birch, and similar non-waxy trees are excellent choices. Alright, let's talk about the types of leaves you should steer clear of. You want to avoid thick, oily, or heavily waxed leaves because they just resist microbial breakdown. Fresh green leaves are also a no-go. They tend to rot instead of ferment, which can lead to some unpleasant odors and unstable microbial activity. What you're really looking for are dry or slightly moist leaves that snap or crumble when you handle them. Now, let's dive into why moisture levels are so crucial. Moisture matters more than most gardeners realize. You see, leaves should never be soaking wet. If rain has drenched them, it's best to spread them out for a day so that excess water can evaporate. The goal here is moist, not soggy. This creates the perfect environment for those fermentation microbes to thrive. So, how does fermentation unlock nutrients so quickly? Well, fermentation works because microbes need energy to multiply and sugar provides that fuel. When sugar is added to leaves submerged in water, beneficial microorganisms wake up and begin digesting plant fibers. As they work, minerals are released into solution and complex compounds are broken down into simpler forms. It's quite a fascinating process, really. This microbial action also produces organic acids that help chelate nutrients, making them easier for plants to absorb. At the same time, the softened leaf material becomes irresistible food for earthworms and soil organisms once it's added to the garden. Instead of raw carbon that takes months to process, you're delivering pre-digested organic matter straight into the soil food web. The exact fermentation formula that works every time. For consistent, powerful results, ratios matter. The following formula has been tested and refined to avoid foul smells while maximizing microbial activity. Use 2 kilograms of crushed or lightly chopped dry fall leaves combined with 4 tablespoons of molasses or brown sugar and 10 liters of clean water. This balance provides enough carbohydrates to fuel fermentation without overwhelming the system. If you're working with a larger container, simply scale everything up while keeping the same proportions. The process remains identical whether you're fermenting a small bucket or a large barrel. Alright folks, let's dive into preparing and starting the fermentation process. Crushing or lightly chopping the leaves is a critical step. You see, it increases the surface area, allowing those little microbes to access the fibers more easily. And don't worry, the leaves don't need to be shredded into dust. Just breaking them by hand is more than enough. Now, let's move on to mixing the ingredients. Place the leaves into a plastic bucket, barrel, or any non-metal container with a loose-fitting lid. Next, dissolve the molasses or brown sugar in warm water first, then pour that solution over the leaves. It's important to make sure all leaf material is fully submerged. Anything sticking above the liquid line can mold instead of ferment, and we definitely don't want that. And now for submerging the leaves. Gently press the leaves down to eliminate air pockets, but remember, don't compact them tightly. Close the container without sealing it airtight. Fermentation releases gases and pressure needs a way to escape. So, there you have it, folks. So, you're wondering if your fermentation is working properly. Well, within 2 to 3 days, you should see small bubbles rising to the surface. It's one of the most satisfying signs because it means those tiny microbes are active and feeding. Over time, you'll notice the liquid darkens and the leaves soften, sinking lower in the container. Now, about the smell. It should be mildly sour and slightly sweet, never rotten. That particular scent tells you that fermentation is happening correctly. Depending on the temperature, the process finishes in about 7 to 14 days. Warmer conditions will speed things up, while cooler weather slows them down. And when it's all finished, you'll have a dark, nutrient-rich leaf slurry suspended in microbe-packed liquid. This is where the real power lies. One of the fastest ways to see results is through liquid application. Strain the fermented liquid and dilute it at a ratio of 1 liter of fermented leaf liquid to 5 liters of clean water. This dilution ensures nutrients are delivered gently and safely. Use this solution to water vegetable beds, fruit plants, ornamentals, seedlings, and potted plants. The response is often visible within days. Leaves deepen in color, stems thicken, and growth becomes more vigorous and uniform. Plants handle stress better and recover faster after transplanting. Turning fermented leaf solids into soil food. The leftover fermented leaf solids are just as valuable as the liquid. They're soft, dark, and crumbly, which is exactly what soil organisms love. Mixing these solids into the top 5 to 10 centimeters of soil creates a slow-release nutrient layer that feeds roots for weeks. This method works especially well when preparing new beds or reviving tired soil. Texture improves almost immediately, you know. Compacted soil loosens, drainage becomes more balanced, and microbial life just explodes. Over time, soil begins to hold moisture more evenly while staying well aerated. Fermentation versus traditional compost. Well, traditional composting is an excellent practice, but it requires patience. Compost relies on oxygen-loving organisms that work gradually. Fermentation, on the other hand, uses anaerobic microbes that break materials down rapidly and efficiently. Both methods have their place, but fermentation delivers similar soil benefits in a fraction of the time. Instead of waiting months, you're applying usable nutrients and active microbes in days. For gardeners who want fast improvements without sacrificing soil health, fermentation fills a powerful gap. Why fermented leaves are safe for all plants. One of the biggest advantages of fermented leaves is how gentle they are. Unlike high-nitrogen synthetic fertilizers that can burn roots or push weak, leggy growth, fermented leaf nutrients are released gradually. Even young seedlings and sensitive plants benefit without risk. This steady feeding supports balanced growth rather than forcing it. Plants grow stronger, not just faster. When it comes to storing fermented leaf mixtures, it's important to do it correctly. If you make a large batch, fermented leaves can actually be stored for several months. Just make sure to keep the container sealed, out of direct sunlight, and always, use plastic or food-grade barrels. Remember, the liquid is mildly acidic and should never be stored in metal containers. If a white film forms on the surface during storage, don't panic. This is actually beneficial yeast. Simply stir it back in before use. Why this method belongs in every garden. Fermenting fall leaves is, honestly, one of the simplest ways to turn seasonal waste into a long-term soil investment. You're accelerating a natural process, feeding soil life directly, and building fertility that compounds year after year. For gardeners who want healthier plants, higher yields, and richer soil without spending money on store-bought fertilizers, this method delivers unmatched value. If this guide helped you see fall leaves in a whole new way, make sure to subscribe to Farm Basic for more practical, proven gardening strategies. Share this with fellow gardeners and help more people grow stronger, healthier, and more productive gardens season after season.